Three, two, one, go.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Corey Thompson, creator of Dice Tower Dish, nerd about board TV, all that fun stuff.
And this is Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather of Gaming. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 349, and we're recording this on December 26th, 2024. Board Games Insider is proud to be powered by Board Game Geek. Awesome. Yes, we're alone again.
Wow.
So this is a funny thing about it, about why we don't have an Ignacy here today. He's actually traveling for like the first time in
Yeah,
who knows how long, right? He actually is traveling. He is in Italy. Yes. So
off the grid.
I applaud that he is actually getting some time in with Mary and hanging out. So that's kind of cool.
Very
Corey,
cool, very
did
cool.
how's your holidays going, man? Everything going well?
It's
What,
good. I'm kind of
low key?
brain dead. It's been low key. Had just a low key Christmas here. We are recording the day after Christmas, which is
Yeah.
pretty exciting because nothing says friendship like waking your friend up at 5 in the morning the day after Christmas.
Yes, that's an awesome thing to do.
No, we had a really fantastic time. One of the real big hits is I have been playing Bomb Busters with the family. This is a ridiculously fun game from Hisashi Hayashi. And got it for Christmas, and we have been playing it absolutely nonstop. It's a campaign game with 66 missions. It is a cooperative, kind of a card game turned into a tile game. It's basically campaign Go Fish, and it is so insanely fun. Uh, Everybody in the family just, my wife, my son will just pop up and say, "We should play," and then we play six more missions. So having a great time with that.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, yeah, and it's nice. I've been traveling so much back and forth to LA, back and forth to PAX, back and forth um to the Napa house. So it's nice to have just a relaxing time at home until next week when I go to Toronto.
There you go. Hey, how did the above board Christmas party go? Did anybody show up in costume? Did like Santa show up or Carl, the bad brother, show up? I saw the
Everybody
videos.
showed up and
I
it
saw the
was
videos, dude. They were great.
crazy fun. Yeah, the Carl video, it has gotten so much traction. People are just loving it. I had a lot of fun, and special thanks, Peter Atkinson was our special guest for that video, and he had such a good time. He was so into it. It was crazy fun. In short, Santa kidnaps Peter Atkinson, who was the founder of Wizards of the Coast, the original publisher of Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, the continued publisher of D&D. Santa's mad about all those products just glutting all of his deliveries, but Peter has not actively been doing that for a while. Wizards of the Coast was sold 20, 25 years ago to Hasbro. So there's a mix up over at the North Pole.
That's awesome. Well, over here at the Podfather of Gaming, I continue to get invites to play Terraforming Mars on Board Game Arena. Thank you to everybody who's been doing that. I'm having a great time. Corey's the only person who's not allowed to challenge me because he wouldn't be a challenge. But
Oh, thank you.
I'm really enjoying, almost just refining the game that, of course, put me on the map. I've played it many, many times before this, but now I'm playing it like in rapid succession, and I'm actually getting good at it. So I'm just having a great time. Thanks everybody who did reach out, and you still can. And if you want, let's just pick the Tharsis map with Prelude, 2 turns per day. Not like 10 turns a day. Make it a ranked game. It'll be fun.
You're stuck. You're going to be playing this forever.
I love, yeah, and I love it. I'm good. At some point, maybe I have to stop, but it's good because just play it whenever. It's turn based. I play one, and walk away, come back later. Oh look, I have to go again. And I really did very little gaming over the holidays. On Christmas Eve, we played a mass market game that's similar to Wits and Wagers. And I don't remember the name, but you basically a question's asked. It's some kind of number. It could be a year, could be a number of something, and the closest person gets a point. simple mass market style game. I got to go buy the family now Wits and Wagers to show them how much better that would be from that. But it was a lot of fun because hey, they're playing the game. I'm okay with that. I gave the younger ones a whole bunch of games from Roy Cannaday, right? For
Oh
former
wow,
person from the Dice Tower. He opened up an anime slash game store in the Homestead, Florida area, Hollywood area, and that kind of in
nice.
between. And I went to his store and I bought a bunch of games for my nephews. So I was happy. And by the way, if you are in South Florida, go check out his store, which I can't. It's At- Ataku Games, something like
Otaku.
that. Is it Ataku? I got it right. There you go.
Yep.
Great, great. He's done. I walked in. I'm like, this store just opened. This is like looks like it's been here for years. It looks so good. So check it out. Um, it's like I said, I'm here with the family. This is mom's house, right? And who knows, any moment, mom might come and vacuum behind me, as she has been known to do while I'm on the air. Yes, yes, for people who are just watching or listening, my mom has been known to do this while we've been on the air. It's been amazing. After this, we go back to Florida like in 2 days from now, and we will be there for a few weeks. And then we're actually going to go up to Orlando to see Paula's brother and family will be doing a little Orlando thing. So we said, you know what? We'll shoot up there. We're going to go to the Kennedy Space
Nice.
Center. We got a VIP tour of the Kennedy Space Center, which is kind of cool. They don't normally do that, but I'm like, they were offering it. I'm like, yes, I'm going to do that. And then we'll see them, hang out with them. Right after that, I fly to Toronto. I'm going to see Corey and a bunch of friends there. I can't believe I'm so cold here in New Jersey. I can't believe I'm going to be going to Toronto. God, crazy. So that happens. Right after that, about half a week after
Oh
that, something
man.
I fly to Virginia Beach. I'm guest of honor, the gaming guest of honor for Mars Con, as you can see the tie-in there. It's not a gaming con; it's a part gaming, part you know, science part, geek con. So I'll be doing that. And then immediately I fly directly ish from there to New Orleans for a gaming event. So January is going to be a very busy month. So hopefully we'll see. I'll see some people maybe between Toronto and the Mars Con in Virginia Beach. Quick shout out
Oh,
to Play to Z.
it's supposed to be like 18 degrees there. It's gonna be great.
Oh, it's gonna. Oh, I'm not stepping foot outside. I'm hotel car Daryl's house. That's it. I'm not going anywhere while I'm there. Food, DoorDash, whatever they have in Canada, bring it to me. Um, Shout out for Play to Z games. I think I mentioned last week that we did very well with the Tales of the Arabian Nights 40th anniversary edition, one of my favorite games of all time that Zev was able to bring in house. You can go late pledge. The campaign's over. We did about a 225,000 or something like that. Some really good number, funded in an hour. So all things went very well. Go late pledge on gamefound.com. You will not be disappointed with Tales of the Arabian Nights 40th anniversary. In the meantime, let's get to the event deck.
Ooh.
All right, we only have a couple of things here. Corey, I thought you said you added some more news stories. I only see two news stories here.
There's no news. It's
Yeah,
Christmas.
there is not much news,
Like
so
nothing happens at Christmas.
it is true. That is true. We did have a couple of things though. We had a promotion in the industry. Adam Lovell was promoted to director of hobby at Asmodee. Adam's a very nice guy, and he's been around various
Yeah.
places. And this is a promotion. He was a senior guy at other places, at Simon and at Southern Hobby Distribution, and now he's been working for Asmodee only since September, and he's already been promoted to director of hobby this month. So I just want to congratulate Adam on that. It just shows that there are places to be in this industry. You got to get yourself to conventions and meet people, and hopefully you get known and things like that. So very happy for him. And this one's a very topical story that literally I just picked up today, also on ICV2, both of these stories. And this is the Toy Association, right? They are
Yeah.
related to us, but not exactly, right? They normally are the mass market toy side of the greater stuff that we do. And they have hired a lobbying firm specifically for tariffs. And excuse me, this is what the article says. The Toy Association has hired a lobbying firm with close ties to the incoming Trump administration to advise and lobby on tariff issues, according to PR news site O'Dwyer's. The firm is Ballard Partners, and Hunter Morgan is the partner on the account, according to the report. Morgan spent 3 years in the Trump White House in his first administration, including time as a principal deputy to Peter Navarro and Stephen Miller, specializing in trade and immigration matters. Now, why would the Toy Association do this? I think that's fairly obvious. The incoming administration has talked a lot about broad tariffs on incoming
And
goods. And
specifically from China as well. China
yes,
seems to be a big target for the tariffs. And a huge majority of our toy and games are coming in from China.
huge amount of the both in the number of the types of things and in the quantities. They really this is a China produced industry, certainly board games and also the mass market toys as well. So to get ahead of it, I guess as you can say, right, to get ahead of the entire thing, the toy industry has got a lobbying firm to ensure that the incoming administration understands that this might not be a really good thing for such a wholesome thing as children's toys. And while they're at it, maybe they talk about hobby board games as well. Who
Yeah.
knows? And again, we talked about this, Corey. I believe it was even last week. We actually talked about it on the show, and I stated a couple of people in the industry. Colby Dauk was one of them. Rob Davio. They were in an article and interviewed by Board Game Wire, I believe,
Hmm.
talking about how terrible it would be if we were hit with broad-based tariffs. Number one. And number two, Colby was very, very, very articulate from Plaid Hat Games, for those who don't know. And he stated it makes no sense to tariff our goods coming in because we, as a country, cannot produce games in the US, at least not in the quantity that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
Some
and that,
interesting numbers from the lobby article. This is the ICV2 article that we're talking about. They said that in the toy market, less than 1% of the goods are coming from the US.
yeah,
And their models say that the average US consumer prices on toys and games from all sources will go up 36 to 55%.
well,
So the
and
tariff extra
that
fee
would
of bringing them in, it's just going to be passed on to the
yeah,
consumers. So
that would depend, of course, on what the tariff level is. And of
yeah,
course, that's a bit of hyperbole. I'm going to just state that unless the tariffs were hundreds of percent, you would not quite get that level of increase. However, any tariff, additional tariff, and I don't believe there's any tariffs on toys games right now. Zero. I mean, you just can bring them in. Yeah, I'm sure there is no tariff on that. During Trump one, I believe that they instituted tariffs on certain targeted goods from China, and they may or may not still be in place. I think they are. It makes no sense. As simple as that. So Bonacor is saying it's not really going to happen. It's bluster. Do I know anything more than everybody listening to this voice? No, but I do not
and
believe.
Bonacor knows bluster.
I know a little bit about bluster there. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think this is a lot to do about nothing. I know certain things are going to get tariffed. I think that's goes without saying. Something we're going to be watching very closely, of course, because it's going to affect every person listening here if tariffs go through on hobby board games. Corey, a very, very small news week. It is what it is, though, right?
Oh yeah.
In the meantime, we'll go over and take some questions in strategy and tactics. All right, moving down here to Chris Dupree. He's at C Dupree. Good guy. He's always giving us questions. Hi, just
Yep.
wondering. And by the way, this came from September 20th. This is only a 3-month old question. Think about that for one moment. Your questions will be answered if you go put them out there. And if you don't put them out there, we'll be going blah, 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 and we'll have nothing to talk about. So you better put some questions out there. There's some great questions you
You
can
heard the
ask us.
threat. There's going to be like a 45-minute episode of just Monica making these noises. And I have to sit through it and comment intelligently.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Just wondering if you have ever had to use your soda, beer, tea can, or bottle as a game piece accessory on one of your games, like for
Oh,
terrain, a movable piece, not just to hold down the map. Have I ever had to use a can or bottle from a beverage? I'll extend that as a game piece. You know, the answer to my answer is I don't believe so. However, I have recently created, I'm not sure I should say this, and people might try to come up to me and get one. I've recently created like a challenge coin kind of thing that's also a bottle opener, branded with the Podfather of gaming. It's really cool. It's a bottle opener challenge coin, first player marker, whatever you want to get. So that will be used as an accessory, but it's not really a not something that
yeah.
holds liquid. Corey, have you ever used your teacup?
Not in board games, but in miniature gaming, I've
Oh,
definitely set out boundaries and barriers. Like, this is the mountains, this is where you can't go past. And there's been anything that's nearby. So there have been bottles or cans set up that way.
no, there you go. Joey Larson. He's oh, what's that, Corey? What happened there? He's at Joey Man 3. He says, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Why do board game publishers seem to want to distance themselves from online retailers so much? In my perception, it's largely due to the perception that their games will be underpriced online. I believe that for
Hmm.
many years, the real problem was actually fake games being sold online. What say you? As as an online retailer, I feel the burn as publishers disallow sales on certain platforms or disallow online sales entirely. This is a big can of worms. We're going to open up this
Yeah.
can of worms here, but that's fine. We don't shy away from hard questions. Joey, the the answer, we don't distance ourselves. We want we want people selling the games, right? The problem is that an online retailer has an incredible amount of they're way ahead of a physical retailer. They've got no overhead essentially, or very little overhead. Versus, you got to keep the stores, got to keep the lights on, keep the air conditioning running. You got to pay employees, all this stuff that a retail. So Asmodee has done it the best, I guess, of anybody because they also have the number of people that can do this. They have created lowest price. What is it called? MAP. They've created
Yep.
minimum advertised pricing. That doesn't mean you can't sell it for less. You can't advertise you're selling for less. There's a thing. That's a thing. And this is a very common thing in general in retail. Your minimum advertised price can only be 20% lower than the MSRP. And that's kind of fair, right? I think that's fair. So now they can order from you, Joey, or other online retailers at slightly lower price, or they can go down to their friendly local game store and pick it up faster, maybe there or something like that. So that's the reason we don't try to stay away. Obviously, publishers want to see their games sold, but they try to create a playing field that's more level for everybody. That's the only thing. Corey?
Sure. The big question is, as a publisher, you are selling the games through distributors or through middlemen, or maybe
Yep.
directly to
Yep.
the retailers. Are you actually selling it at a different price to retailers that are online versus retailers that are brick and mortar?
No.
That's the thing, is you're not. So it's
Right.
not to a publisher's benefit to target one side or the other. That, again, they just want them sold, and it's the same if they sell them to an online retailer or to a brick and mortar. I think it's more public perception comes into it a huge deal, especially about 5 years ago. There was a huge backlash against online retailers, and maybe it had a little bit to do with counterfeiting. I don't think that was a major part of it,
No.
but it was more the love of the friendly local neighborhood game store. and there was a huge PR campaign online, formal or informal, for brick and mortar stores and how wonderful are they. So publishers were, of course, trying to incentivize brick and mortar stores because that's what everybody was talking about.
Yeah. I mean, and let's face it. I mean, we need the friendly local game store. It's an epicenter of gaming activity, whether you're playing Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, neither of which I play, right? Anymore, at least. No,
Yeah,
right? Or you're sitting there and playing some board games. We want to, get those guys, make them healthy. So we have to try to create a level playing field. I mean, it's a good question. There's many, many facets to it.
sure.
We hope that it could be more streamlined, but certainly, hey, I buy games on Amazon. I buy games from Miniature Market. I do. I don't have a local game store, but when I was down in South Florida, I live in South Florida, South Florida. I went over to Roy's place and I bought 3 games, and I'm like, yes, I can help out Roy, help out the local retailer. Rob Cannon, he's at Rob Cannon. This question is for Stephen. Corey, shush. I
Hey,
know.
hey,
I want
hey.
you. Would you like to ask me the question, Corey? You ask me the question.
I'll ask you the question. This question is for the loudmouth blusterer in the
Wow.
podcast.
Wow.
Um, I know at one time you were looking to see if you could publish a reprint of Magic Realm. I've seen a new game called Dragons Down that looks very much inspired by Magic Realm, perhaps with a more modern take on the design. Have you seen or tried this game? I would be interested to hear your thoughts on it. I will say I backed Dragons Down
There you
and
go.
I'm excited. It's getting close to delivery. I didn't immediately get the Magic Realm connection. I see it now, but it looked like a Loot Fountain Diablo style dungeon crawl, and that's a sort of game that I really enjoy.
Hmm.
So I backed it when
Yeah.
it was on crowdfunding.
Yeah. So I mean I think that the premise of this question, yes, I did at one point. I wanted to publish Merchant of Venus, right? And there was the kerfuffle over that, and Magical Realm was part of the whole thing we were potentially going to do. And I have seen Dragons Down, and that's published by a great friend,
Mr.
Sean
B
Brown,
games, yeah,
Mr. B, and Sean Brown. He's such a lovely guy, really is. Um, it and the game was inspired by. I think you say it there, and that's fair. That's a fair way of doing it. It's not the same game by any stretch of the imagination. It's inspired, and everybody does. Everybody takes inspiration from other things. Um, so you'll get a Magic Realm type of experience, but so is every dungeon crawl on the next dungeon crawl, right? There always takes on that style, things like that, or every deck builder is a take on the deck, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have not played Dragons Down. I would certainly love to try it at some point, Corey. If you want to play it, we could do so.
sure.
Um, and who knows, Magic Realm might come back at some point. We'll see what happens there.
Magic Realm, for people who don't remember, it's
Oh, we
1979 Avalon Hill.
should
So we're
probably
we're going way back.
yeah. So just right. So the history there for people who don't know it. All right. So at Stronghold Games, Stephen Bonacore attempted to publish Merchant of Venus, which was a classic, one of the early pick up and deliver games by
Yeah.
a game designer named Richard Hamblin. He also designed Magic Realm, which is the most complicated fantasy oriented game out there. People call it the ASL, right? Advanced Squad Leader of fantasy games. That's
Yeah.
how complicated this thing with huge manuals and huge amounts of rules. So,
Well, that's what the trend was for Avalon Hill
yes,
back in the 70s and 80s was simulation rather than trimmed down gameplay. They were super complicated.
exactly, exactly. So, Merchants of Venus was ended up to be published by Fantasy Flight. There was a kerfuffle who had the rights. Da, 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 da. There's a whole thing. You could probably yes, you can go on Board Game Geek and Google all that. And in the end, I felt it too risky to do Magic Realm with the amount of insanity over the rights for these games. That's sort of the summary of the whole thing. There you go. The next one's an Ignacy question, it looks like. So why don't we move over to Dr. Vincenzo Alvarello, very good friend of the show.
PhD.
PH. I am playing Terraforming Mars with him right now. He used to live in New Jersey. In fact, he's here now for the holidays. I did not see him, but he's here. He lives in the frozen state of Minnesota right now. I did not know, Vinny, that you became a doctor. Congratulations. I did not know that for some reason. I apologize. He's at Zacho Soldier, and he says, I saw this article, which I don't have a good link to it, sadly, because of the way I scraped it off BGG, but we'll try to
Yeah, I
figure it
was
out.
gonna say, you pointed me to an article I can't read.
I can try to find this. Hold on. It's in the let me read the art. Let me read this, then we'll go get it. I saw this article on debiasing the BGG database. I think it's an interesting concept, but don't really agree with it. I'd be curious your thought on the premise, and particularly Steven's The True top board game. So, um, Corey, have you heard about this particular thing?
No, no, I haven't been able to read the article. I'm still looking for it.
I'm going to I have just grabbed the article and see what we can do in real time here, boys and girls. And there's the article now for you if you want to go look at it, Corey. Um,
Beautiful. Thank you, thank you.
so
Oh, I was hoping it was this. I did some of the original work on this way back when I made a whole big Excel sheet about trying to separate age from ranking because in Board Game Geek, ranking newer games rank higher, and it's a
yes,
very, very, very strong correlation. So I
yes.
did a regression analysis and subtraction to try to take age out of the rankings and see if my question I was after was, is there a better year or worse year for board games?
Last time I did
So,
regression analysis was my sophomore year of undergraduate work. So please tell us about your regression analysis that you did. And those, in general, let's talk about this. So that's a bias, right? Is that the bias? Yes, and they're talking about this specifically, removing the age bias from games. Tell us about what you did, and let's go from there.
I did not. I took the top. The problem was that I started with a little bit of a bias. I took the top 20,000 ranked games on BGG, and I tried to separate out the slant that goes with time. I guess it would be this way because we know we're backwards on video. I tried to take out the slant that went with year of release. And they did it much, much better in this article. This is fantastic.
Oh my God,
This was
I'm
posted September 20th, 2024.
yeah.
Uh, and it's such a good article, removing all sorts of biases.
So
So,
so let's go. Let's quickly go through they have removed. This is great article. They have removed what I mean. Again, this would be his bias on how to remove it on some level because I guarantee there's different ways of removing the biases. So he's removed age bias. How old is the game? That's something
yeah,
Corey basically did. He removed the complexity bias, right? The more complex a game, it looks like the higher the ranking is, a direct correlation. He's removed, this person has removed the playing time bias. The longer the game, the more highly it is ranked. Removed the game type bias. Uh, Children's games are ranked lower than strategy games, things like that, and remove the bias toward cooperative games.
yeah.
And then when he removed all the biases,
Yeah, he got a new list of the top 10.
guess
And it's what's really interesting about this is there's a correlation in IMDb for the movie database that they were talking about movies and how much money they made and trying to normalize for um, inflation. And the
it's
thing is, you get the biggest changes for the oldest games. So, for instance, Gloomhaven moved from number 3 to number 1 in the top 10 when you took away how old it is. But the one that's really crazy is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective from 1982, went up 145 places to number 6. If you
No.
normalize for how old the game is.
So you're missing the final one, Corey, where he took out all biases. The number
Yeah.
one game with when after taking out all biases is Survive Escape from Atlantis. How about that? The number one game, right? Like the game that put
Yeah,
Stronghold Games on the map to start with, right? Can't Stop number two, For
absolutely
Sale
beautiful.
number three, Seven Wonders Duel
Did
number
you
four.
did you
Sure,
see that Can't Stop went up 772 places when
isn't that
all
amazing?
biases were removed?
Yeah, I mean, this is what a great article. Terraforming Mars now goes down to 16, still very strong, but it's gone down, of course. Everything that you know has gone down, right? All these older games have popped up, these older, shorter, all the things that I said that were removed, boom. So all the games now in the top 10 are games that used to be ranked 200, 146 to 700. Boom. They all jump up because they've removed these biases.
Yeah,
What a beautiful, interesting, I mean, debatable. And, we don't have to. This is not a conclusive thing that, oh, well, obviously the highest ranked game is Survive. No, it's just an interesting take on this. I love this. I just bookmarked this. I think I'm sending this to Jeff Engelstein, who will write an
oh, I love
article.
the statistics on. Oh yeah, he'll talk about it
Oh,
for a long, long
he's gonna
time.
take. I guarantee he will take this if he hasn't already. I do read his newsletter, and he will write an article for his newsletter based on this. It's just beautiful. Wow. And I guess everybody, you can probably, it's a blog.recommend.games/posts. I believe this is a general place that people put posts about games. And it's debiasing board game geek ranking. You can check this out. What an interesting, interesting article, dude.
Absolutely fascinating. I love it.
I I want more. I I'm literally gonna dive deep into this article just after this. Sorry for waxing here, guys. What do we got? Can we do another one? Yeah, we can do another
Yeah,
one.
one more.
Ron Graves from Canada. He's at Buckaroo. Hey, Ron. He's always posting. Thank you. A quick search of the BGG shows 4,500 games released in 2024. 4,500 games. And that is
Yeah.
with expansions excluded. Oh my God.
Yep.
Guessing here, at least 90% of those, about 4,000, would largely go unnoticed by the majority of hobby game community. At least, I would say at
Yeah.
least. These numbers are the same year over year for the last handful of years. I
I
didn't think it
think they
was,
go up significantly year after
yeah,
year, but yeah.
I don't think like say take 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I don't think it was 45. This is a new high watermark, I think. I remember looking fairly recently and I think it was 3,500, but that's an unbelievable number of games. These numbers are staggering. I have zero business background, so there is no way I can figure this out for myself. So some questions. What percentage of games published every year return at least $1 of profit to the publisher? Corey,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's too hard of a question, and especially if, we would get really ultra businessy if I tried to explain to you how profit is made in the industry, right? When I produce a game, I publish this game and I put, we're going to use round numbers, 100 copies of this into my warehouse. That's what I did. 100, 1,000, let's say 1,000. It's a more normal number. And each one of those games cost me $1 only. It's a card game. It cost me $1 to produce and put there. So it's $1,000 in inventory. Do I have $1,000 expense now, Corey? I do not. I have a
Yep.
$1,000 asset on my books. The moment I sell a game, and let's assume that I sold 100 of the 1,000, and I sold them because I'm a bad person, and I sold them for $10 each, and it only cost me $1. Say 11. We'll make the math nice and easy. $11. So I made $10 profit on the 100 games. I just made $1,000. That's $1,000 profit. Uh, and my expense was only one times 100, $100. So I made whatever I just said. I made $900 or $1,000.
Yeah.
That's how profit is recognized. It's not like, okay, well, I just spent $1,000 to make these games, and and therefore I take a quote unquote loss if I only sell 5 games. That's not how it works. It's very, very
I'm going
annoying
to take a little
accounting.
bit of a simplified version of this. I think the amount of people who make at least $1 profit, just purely made at least $1 profit, is more than half, probably three-quarters.
Hmm.
But is it enough profit to keep the business afloat? And that I think is a very low percentage.
Yeah.
The reason I say this is there's a trend for more and more games to be on crowdfunding, if they don't make enough money to publish the game, at least break even, which is essentially the same question. They won't print it, they won't publish it, so the game won't exist. So this is a vast, generalization, but I think that the majority of crowdfunded games will make enough money to break even, but maybe not enough to keep the business slash company alive.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very broad generalization. Most of those games are not crowdfunded, of course, as you know. Somebody just brings it out, somebody who makes a few hundred copies or something like that. In fact, the next part of his question is I know that most games have very small print runs, a few hundred copies maybe,
I
even with
think a
low
few
numbers like
hundred
that.
is pretty rare. Hmm.
Well, let me finish the question. Even with low
Sure.
numbers like that, a large amount of those games must go unsold if they cannot get any exposure. So, anybody who's making games seriously, like they're trying to make a business run, you can't do it with a few hundred copies. You
No, no, no.
cannot. You can't. You're not. You just do the math in general. Even if it, you just, you're not going to do it and make a living. Certainly not a USA,
There are a
style
few
living.
options. A couple of the big companies will do what they call a P100 or a P500 run. Most famously, it's GMT games,
Yep.
where they will make a very small print run that's essentially prepaid for. And that's how you get some of the weirder, more exotic games out in very small numbers to a limited audience.
Hmm. So I would say that for anybody who's a serious publisher, they're printing in the low thousands, at least 2,000 is kind of the lowest you can do to even try to make a living. And crowdfunding is a huge thing for us because that brings people in. Right now, Play to Z is printing some games, creating a back catalog, a catalog, right? Selling some, but the crowdfunding is going to drive forward the company until we get more on the map and people out there, distributors start saying, "Oh, these guys have got a bunch of cool things. I'm going to bring them in." Is it fair to say that about that 10% or less of the market that sells their original print runs and maybe generates additional print runs drives the industry? Less than 10% of the publishers are truly succeeding as businesses. I think
Hmm.
that's a fair statement. Truly succeeding. Everybody, you can eke by, right? You can eke by, and there are one person companies that eke by on on low sales. They keep their cost of living down and they eke by. And so 10% that are truly succeeding, yeah, I would say it's probably in that area, if that.
That's a number that you might know that I'd be really curious in. A real publisher, let's say in the day Stronghold, what percentage of games that you published got a reprint print run?
Not very high, truly. Being honest, not very high. Got a second printing,
Yeah.
20% of the games get a second printing. Most games, even during Stronghold times, will one and done. You get those, you get those evergreen, those minor evergreens, you get the major evergreens, you get the ones the company is
Yeah.
driven on, right? Terraforming Mars. Survive was an evergreen, minor at least, if not a true evergreen, couple containers per year, so it was pretty good. But that's it, especially with the kinds of games I was doing, right? I was going out to Europe and grabbing games and bringing them over. So we do one print run with the European publisher. We hopefully get the entire thing to gain traction. And if it does, we will do another print run. And we did
Yeah.
Friedman Freeze and I did several games, did multiple print runs, which was great. Fuji Flush, still selling. That little card game, still
It's
selling.
fun. It's a
Yeah.
great game.
Yeah. Fabled Fruit went through several print runs.
I got
Things like
Fine
that.
Sand from you.
There you go, fine sand. That one I don't think did a second print run, but you get the idea. How does this hobby really sustain itself? I clearly have zero understanding of the business of board game publishing. You know what? I mean, I don't have any idea myself. It's the scale has to do with what the companies are trying to achieve. Asmodee has to have literally in the billions of dollars in revenue per year to sustain itself, and they do a good job of hitting figures like that. Joe's Game Company, and there are so many of those, just needs to sell a bunch of games and go to conventions and sell a little more games, and the person running the company ekes out $50,000 a year that he or she pays themselves, and they're happy making enough money to live, and they get to write off their board games. And that's the kind of thing that ends up happening with a lot of these companies. And there's no secret sauce, and I think that's an important thing to tell Ron here. There's no secret sauce here. We're all trying to do good things in gaming. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
4,500 games is not sustainable. Can't have 4,500 games coming out per year. All, like you said, 90% will completely disappear within a month or so of that. And with that, I think we can get over to playtesting. Corey, you did a wonderful job of putting more and more questions out there. So we're flush with questions for a little while. Thank you, Corey, very much. Tell us what the question is for this week, my friend. Well, last week, right? This is the last
Well,
week's question. Sorry.
so last week's last week's question, in your opinion, what was the most influential game of 2024?
And I had picked Flip 7 just because it's this very, very small game that it was so wonderful to play a game out of the box, 18 players, just a easy game. I've noticed we got very few responses. That could be due to Christmas week, or it could be due to like people go like, I don't know what the. We basically gonna take every question here, so why not? Let's start. I'm gonna start at the bottom. You start at the top. I'll meet you in the middle there.
I
Kirk,
can't actually pull it up.
you can't even pull it up because why can't you pull up the question? It's right there, Corey. It's literally. Oh
No,
wait.
your link goes to the wrong one.
All
I
right.
can't I can't pull up the current one.
There's the right question, Corey. I just have to do everything for you. It's amazing.
I'm no good at technology, is
You are
truly.
no good at tech. I think that is a true statement. So, um, I'll move down to the bottom here. Kirk W. He's at the Corset Maker. I took a look at the top games of the year, and most seem to be re-implementations of already popular mechanisms. Granted, some are amazing, but nothing innovative. So I went through again looking at theme. My choice, Rock Hard, 1977 by Jackie Fox. Right,
Nice.
first time designer, lovely person. Was the
I actually got to go to her house for her birthday
look
last
at
week.
he's always
And
dropping names. Look at him go.
she's so delightful. It was
Yeah.
such a fun time, and it's such a good game.
Yep. Jacob Stein, he said, Arcs. I think it is the only one unique enough and accessible enough to be inspiring, if imitation.
Arcs
Okay.
has been really divisive. People, it is unique, and that tends to get a lot of people loving it and a lot of people not loving it. So Marvin OTC also brought Arcs, probably Arcs, given how well received it was, and hitting the top of a lot of reviewers' best of the year lists.
There you go. Eric Longenbach, always a good guy, giving us answers and questions. He says, personally, it was Zone Wars, which for sure did not come out in 2023, whatever BGG says. Such an easy but fun skirmish game you can introduce to anyone. Well, Eric, you should tell BGG it came out in 2024. I've done that, and they've taken my
Yeah.
feedback.
Steven Shivers, depends on how you
Awesome guy.
interpret influence. I've shown The Gang to 7 people outside of my own family, and they've all bought it. The Gang, definitely a great game.
Yeah.
Influential, I think that The Gang is riding off the influential nature of the crew. Now, it's not taking away from The Gang. The Gang is a remarkably good game, but it was on my
Yeah.
short list for influential games of 2024. But eventually I decided The Crew was the super influential one.
Yeah, I think The Crew was the influential one for you. The Crew this year?
No, no,
No.
no. The
Oh,
Gang I thought
it
was
just
building on the shoulders of the
yeah.
crew.
But we know that everything builds on the shoulders of everything. That's why, hey,
Sure, sure.
Flip 7 for that matter builds on the shoulders of blackjack, right? I mean, it's
I don't see the
essentially,
connection too much.
dude,
Um,
you hit or
other
you stick.
than other than it is a push your luck game, but the mechanisms are totally different. The way the probabilities are totally different. The
Yes.
gameplay is totally different.
Yes.
What you're
Yep.
going for is totally different.
Yes.
So, other than you use the word hit and stick, which is not in the rule book, people just tend to do it, and it's a push your luck game. So, if unless you say every push your luck game is
No,
blackjack.
no. Anyway, doesn't matter. Kevin Martin says Flip 7 was quite popular in the hobby space this year. It seems like the
Yeah.
game most suited to transition well into mass market. Oh, it will definitely become a mass market game, but even at that, we all play plenty of former hobby games that have now transitioned, and Flip 7 will be with me to play forever. It's one of those games that just pull out, play it with grandma, play it with hobby gamers, play with anybody. Take the last one, Corey, and then we'll move on.
What's the last one?
Oh, it's right there. I'll do it.
You've bounced all over the place.
No,
Gavin
I'm just
Casey?
I'm just moving up the thing here. It says it
Ah,
says Elena. I'll second. She says that the gang is also
there were so
hers.
many good votes for the gang. Uh, Pedro Kerouac said most influential, probably SETI and all the other heavy Euros with strong theme. Feels like a strong trend. And I think this trend has been continuing. SETI was great. Uh, really heavy, really lovely game.
Gavin Kenny, Middle Earth Duel. I'm not sure we mentioned that one. I just want to mention everything since there's not that many here. And Marvin OTC says probably Arcs.
I did
So
that one.
you did that one. Okay, there you go. We got them all. We got everybody's this time because it was a short list. Thank you everybody who did answer on this, holiday week. Corey, what is this week's question? That's a good one.
So, because for us at least, Christmas just happened, I know we're going to be about a week delayed,
Hmm.
but uh, the question is become a child again. Just for this moment, become a child again and tell us what board game you got for the holidays and why you were so happy, surprised, and excited to get it and haven't played it yet.
Did you get one, Corey? I have some Kickstarter waiting at home. I saw the notice and I don't remember what it is now.
I
Uh,
got a lot of games over the
okay,
holidays, and
okay,
I'm gonna have to go with Bomb Busters. I have played it
yeah.
like crazy. I did cheat. I opened it early. It was
Aha.
a game that was sent to me. To be honest, I actually got 2 copies of it
Of
for
course you did.
Christmas.
Of course you did.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty prominent one, and I think one is going to live at the
Uh,
house here in Sacramento. One's going to live at the board game house in Napa, but have so much fun playing it. It is such a great game. So,
I'm
campaign Go Fish.
campaign Go Fish. What a great, interesting way of putting it. Um, I didn't get something certainly not specifically for the holidays, so I don't have one to answer. I apologize, but it will be it will be what's waiting at my house when I get back there. I think that's going to be the one. So, but we're asking everybody out there what did you get for the holidays, and be a child about it. How were you excited about it? Did it make you feel like love by getting a game, right? With things that we used to get as kids all the time. Go over to the guild, find our playtesting thread for this question, and post your answer there. In the meantime, the final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. Do you want to be part of this podcast? As you saw today, so many people were. Go over to the guild, make sure you're a member, ask us questions for strategy and tactics in that thread, or answer our question to you from the play testing segment. It's easy, go do it. Please interact with us on social media. We are active on all these platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube. And it's the same handle: Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play to Z Games, Above Board TV, Nerd About Show. Pick your pick your social media poison and interact with us. Follow us and interact with us. And a special call out, of course, to the YouTube channels, which we all post most of our stuff on, and that's Portal Games Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. We'd love to see you in person at an upcoming convention. If you're going to go to one of the ones we talk about, please come up to us and let's chat. We really live for that. Board Games Insider is professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Thank you, Jake, for being part of the team. Also, that great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, and in between segments is that of Ray Greenlee, and he can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Corey, this brings us to another end of an amazing episode.
We're just amazing.
Do you
What
have
can I say? We're amazing people.
anything else that you can tell us to make everybody happy this holiday season? You see how I drag it out so that I give you
That's
a time
great.
to
That's
think of something.
great.
I'm a professional,
No
man.
pressure or
I'm a
anything.
professional, but I can continue talking until you're ready, until you form a crumb in that noggin of yours. Can you tell somebody something lovely that they will take into next year? Would you like me to continue this lead?
I am just really looking forward to, I mean, the question of what board game made you feel like a kid? What are you excited about
Yeah.
playing? I have so many games that I've received over like the previous month that I am so excited to get played. So I'm looking forward to these board game get-togethers, including the Toronto trip, so I can play Chronologic, which I just recently got, Civolution. There's just a pile of them that are just waiting to be played. I want to show off Avant-Garde and Bomb Busters and these neat games that I've played recently that I think are amazing. Because one of the great joys in our hobby, I think, is teaching someone else how to play the game that you discovered that you think is incredible.
And you've done
You
a
know,
great job of
passing
like,
that joy on.
yeah. And you've done a great job of discovering some games and evangelizing them over the last couple 3 years. So thank you for that. I look forward to playing Bomb Busters with you in Toronto. And
Oh, it's
everybody
so
else
fun.
out there, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, uh, happy Kwanzaa, happy solstice, and all those things. Happy New Year. Have a great, safe, healthy, happy New Year. Thank you all. We'll see you next year.
See
Bye
you later,
bye.
everyone.